The meeting to order and ask if you'll stand and join Councillor Elmsley in the singing of O Canada.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I expect everybody to sing loudly and drown me out as usual. O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all our sons' command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Little croaky there.
You were going to go there, right?
Yeah. I hurt myself.
Yeah, you thought about the high note.
No comment. Thank you for that. I'll ask if you'll join me in a moment of silent reflection, please. Thank you. Item 3.3 is the adoption of the open session agenda. Councillor Seymour Fagan.
Yes, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Doug Elmsley that the agenda for the open session of the regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 19th, 2019 be adopted as circulated and with the following amendment. Item 5 being the Kawartha Lakes Halliburton Housing Corporation, KLHHC, annual general meeting be moved to item 1 on the agenda to be dealt with first.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on anything on today's agenda? Seeing none. Notices and information by members of council. Is anyone in council? Councillor Elmsley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Saturday, November 30th, in Fenelon Falls is our annual Santa Day, commencing at 10 o'clock in the morning and running right through to approximately 6:37 at night. The usual fun and frivolity and will go on. Lots of stuff for the young folks to do. And as usual, the things supplied by Santa Day are all free. And I hope that lots of people come out and take advantage of it. Our parade starts at 5 o'clock and, of course, is followed by fireworks. So anybody looking for something to do on November 30th, I recommend they come to Fenelon. Thank you.
Thank you. I recommend it as well. It's a great day and a lot of good people doing some work up there, so thanks. Councillor Ashmore, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few announcements. Tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. at the Coronation Hall in Omemee, the Omemee Downtown Revitalization Committee will be meeting, and the public is welcome to attend that. So it's tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. And the Omemee Santa Claus Parade will be held on Saturday, December 7th at 1 p.m. They'll be leaving at Scott Young Public School. And moving ahead a little bit, on December 15th is the Dunsford Santa Claus Parade. It'll be at 2 p.m., leaving at Dunsford District Elementary School. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Yeo.
Thank you, and through you, just invite everybody to Coboconk on Sunday, December 1st for the annual Santa Claus Parade. Thank you. I'm sure the mayor and
I will. I won't speak for him. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you.
This Saturday, November 23rd, it's Cole's Journey Benefit Dance. It's a sold-out event for members' It's a benefit fundraiser. And then we go into the festive. Janetville Craft Sale is Sunday, November 24th, 10 to 3 at the Janetville Community Center. Pontypool Santa Breakfast is December 1st, 9 to 11 at the Pontypool Community Center. The parade follows that evening at 6:30. Breakfast with Santa at Janetville Hall on December 8th, and Breakfast with Santa December 14th at the Bethany United Church. Also a note saying that St. Mary's Bridge, located south of Golf Course Road in Bethany, will be temporarily closed for infrastructure repair starting November 27th.
Thank you. Councillor O'Reilly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Jolly Jog will be on this Saturday morning in Lindsay. The annual Kinsman Toy Drive is on once again. There'll be barrels throughout the town. The Kawartha Lakes Police Chief, Mark Mitchell, recently received an Order of Merit Award in Ottawa. What else? And there were a number of events recently. This Wednesday night, there'll be a meeting of the International Plowing Match in Fenelon Falls at the Community Center. Wednesday night starting at 7:30 for those wishing to come, and are always looking for volunteers. And on November 30th, the Kawartha Lakes firefighters and volunteer firefighters, I guess, as well too, will be at the Loblaws from 10:30 to 2:30 to collect food and fill the truck for the food source. And there were a number of events recently. They're very well attended. The Santa Claus Parade Sunday, a very large crowd. Remembrance Day was a good crowd. And there was a very good crowd for the tree lighting. And the Dream Ball was on last Saturday night, and I believe they raised in the neighborhood of $50,000 for the Children's Foundation.
Great, thank you. Councillor Seymour Fagan? Just put your mic on, please.
This Thursday is public information meeting at the Service Center in Bobcaygeon for Canal Street, Reconstruction. Saturday is Mingle Jingle, which is a new event in Bobcaygeon where it's all sorts of different workshops, shop specials, food and drink specials as well from 12 to 8. And then there's a tree lighting at 5:30 at the Locks. Now, there's also a Santa Claus Parade on Saturday, December 7th at 5 p.m. in Bobcaygeon. In Kinmount, there's a pancake breakfast on Saturday, December 7th at 8:30 until 11. And then there's a farmer's market with crafts for the kids at the community center between 12 and 2. And then they have a Christmas music night at the Galway Hall at 7 p.m.
Thank you. Anyone else on council? Seeing none. Anyone on staff have anything they wish to announce? Acting Chief, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there's an event that's coming Sunday at the Lex at 3 o'clock. The Lindsay Ministerial Association is hosting the first ever First Responders Appreciation event for members of the Kawartha Lakes Detachment of the OPP, our town police, our fire service, and our paramedic service. That's beginning at 3 o'clock, and music is being provided by the local band, the Kents. So we're hoping to get a good turnout for that. First time ever.
Sounds good, thank you. Okay, so we'll move into our council minutes. Item 6, there's no other announcements. Let's do 6.1, 6.2, and 6.3. The regular council meeting minutes of October 22nd, the special council meeting minutes of October 29th, and the special council meeting minutes of November 5th, that they all be received and adopted, please. Councillor Helmsley and Seymour Fagan, questions? All in favor? That's passed. Deputations, we have none. Presentations, none. We'll move right into Committee of the Whole. That the minutes of the November 5th, 2019 Committee of the Whole meeting be received, and the recommendations included Section 9.3 of the agenda be adopted. Save and accept. 9.3.6 has been extracted by Councillor Dunn, which is the deputation regarding winter maintenance on McGuire Beach Road. 9.3.8 has been extracted by Councillor Ashmore. It's the Kawartha Lakes Agriculture and Food Action Plan. And 9.3.17 has been extracted by myself and Councillor Ashmore, which is the Making Waste Matter Integrated Waste Management Strategy Update. Any other extractions from Committee of the Whole? Councillor Helmsley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thought we were doing 9.3.14. Housing and
That's
homeless.
just the presentation. The report that you're looking for has already been extracted. It's in the extracted area of the committee of the whole already. So we will deal with it after we deal with these extractions. We have 2 that are already extracted.
Thank you.
Alrighty? Anyone else? Can I get a motion then that those minutes be received and the recommendations be adopted, please? Councillor Ashmore, Councillor O'Reilly, all in favor? That's passed. 936 was the deputation from Blais Couture regarding winter maintenance on Maguire Beach Road. Councillor Dunn. Sit.
I'll give you a motion that the winter maintenance be provided for the winter season of 2019-2020. And if I get a seconder, I'll explain my rationale.
So that the deputation be received and the
And-
winter maintenance be provided for this winter 19 and 20.
That's right.
Okay, second by Councillor Yeo. Go ahead.
This is going to take a lot of training not standing up. There we go. I'm just looking for consistency. Just last month, we approved winter maintenance for Francis Street. My own personal opinion, of course, is winter maintenance is something that we should be providing, period. So I'm prepared to follow generally the directions, but I think Maguire's Beach Road is one that we can figure out. I think if we give it another year, we can figure it out, and I think it'd be appropriate to provide it for this year. Winter's on us. We're right in the midst of winter already. There is no time for other options, so I think for this year we should provide winter maintenance and then see if we can't solve this problem once and for all in the upcoming 2020 year. Those are my only comments.
Councillor Yeo, do you want to speak to it?
I totally agree, and you heard me last meeting, so Councillor Dunn wasn't there, and this is his turn to speak to it, so I hope you support it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Elmsley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I agree. I think we should be providing winter maintenance on this road. Having done so in the past and going forward, I think that it's only right and proper that these residents get that service.
I'm not even going to comment on this because we've commented on it so many times. You know where I stand, probably 10 times over. So I can't believe we're not moving on. But go ahead, Councillor Seymour Fagan.
I'm going to speak against the motion for the one reason that we have gone through this several times. And it is now winter, you're correct. It's upon us, and I'm sure that they have someone plowing. It's not our job to be doing it. They've been given a year, and I don't think that they need another year.
Thank you. Any other comments? Councillor Dunn, do you want to sum up?
Just very briefly, it's the right and proper thing to do. It's not a big stretch of road, and it's not a big cost. And I think we should stop digging our heels in on this issue and pass it, and I'll ask for a recorded vote.
Recorded vote requested by Councillor Dunn. Madam Clerk?
Councillor Dunn,
In favor?
Councillor O'Reilly,
Opposed?
Councillor Seymour Fagan,
Opposed?
Councillor Yeo, Councillor Richardson,
Opposed?
Councillor Ashmore,
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Elmsley,
Favor.
Councillor Vale,
Opposed.
Mayor Letham.
Opposed.
5-4.
Motion fails 4 to 5. Can I get a motion, please, that the deputation be received? Councillor Seymour Fagan, seconded by Councillor Richardson. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. We'll move on to item 938, which is the report regarding the Kawartha Lakes Agriculture and Food Action Plan. Councillor Ashmore?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the deputation, you had asked a question. It was quite a good question. That there's like 20 or 25 goals that are been set out by the consultant and staff that we want to achieve in the next 5 years. But I really think it should really be narrowed down to a maximum of 5 to 10 goals that we should achieve here. So what I'm asking is that this could go back to the Agricultural Advisory Committee and see if they could reduce this number down to 10 goals. At least it's achievable. I mean, trying to get 25, 30 goals, it's just, if it's great if you can, but I mean, it's not going to happen. So why not concentrate on 5 to 10 goals, and then I think you would achieve your goals, you know, if it's slimmed down, the work plan. This is
How
what I-
about this, Councillor? How about we move the report that it be received, that Kawartha Lakes Agriculture and Food Action Plan be endorsed, and we've got here as another that in the first quarter of 2020, staff provide council with an implementation plan detailing community partnership support and providing options for resourcing of identified municipal activities through future budgets. Why don't you insert a line in there that says, and the possibility of narrowing down to some actionable items that can be dealt with right away, or however you want to word it. I don't think we have to change the intent or the endorsement of it, but we can ask for that report back to, if you want to do that.
Yeah, that's fine, thanks. Yeah,
Okay.
great.
Do you have any special wording, or are you looking for just some actionable items that be brought forward as part of that implementation?
Have it be prioritized, like
Okay.
scale it back from 25 to 10.
Okay. Okay. And a seconder? Councillor Riley, you second that? Do you want to speak to it, or you already have? Councillor Riley, you're good? Any questions, comments? Councillor Vale?
I've got no issue with the motion. If you want to send it back to the Ag Committee to have them relook at it and streamline some stuff, I'll just make a couple comments that if you look at.
So just for clarification, the motion's not to send it back. It's to endorse it, and just when it comes back in the first quarter,
Yep.
to have some more actionable items.
Yep. No, and I'm just clarifying some of the comments or whatever, that out of those goals, if you go through the plan or whatever, there's a number of them that are already in process, left over from the last plan or whatever as well, right? And those goals in those different areas are prioritized as to, you know, number 1 priority and number 5 priority. Just a comment.
Councillor Dunn? Yeah. Yep, absolutely. Is everybody clear then? You're good with that? Okay, we'll call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Go ahead.
Could you possibly explain to the press, just so it's out there, why we're not standing? It's not out of lack of respect for the office, it's just that if we can just sort of, like, I feel very uncomfortable not standing up. For me, it's a sign of respect, and you could just explain why we're not doing that?
Yeah, no, fair enough. We're just so everybody knows, I've just asked council to remain seated. We're finding on the live streaming that we do of the council meetings, when they stand up and either speak to a director or ask a question, the live streaming feed is not picking up, and people who are watching it on the live stream are just, they're not hearing a sound. So I've just asked everybody to remain seated, speak right into their microphone so that we can go. So it's not a change of procedure or anything. It's just so that anybody who wants to tune into these riveting meetings doesn't miss a word. Councillor Yeo, you're going to comment, aren't you? Nope? Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, so the next extraction is 9317. Was extracted by myself and Councillor Ashmore. I don't know, Councillor, if you had a question. I have a motion. If you'd like me to read it first. Do you have a question, or did you have a different direction you wanted to go?
No, what I want to do, Mr. Mayor, was see if this council would entertain the fact, the possibility of entering into an agreement with the Durham York Energy Center. Deputy Mayor Elmsley and I went down there to look at it. Right now, they can't take us on. They can't take any more volume right now, but that may change in the future when they build another cell. But it is just the state-of-the-art facility in the world, and I think we should be looking at this, because we've got 2 landfills that are going to be closing in the next 10 years, and we need to think about this now. And I'm just thinking if we could just, you know, at least put an expression of interest out there right now. That's
Okay,
all I was going to.
why don't you let me deal with the motion for the plan, and then if you want to do a follow-up, you can see if you get some traction in that, okay? So what I'm proposing just from the extraction is just to take, and if somebody wants to move it and second it, I'll explain. It's just to move some of the integrated strategies forward. I've talked to staff. they're on board with it. They've talked to our communications department. So that the report, Making Waste Matter Integrated Waste Management Strategy Update, be received, that council approves the Integrated Waste Management Strategy Update for implementation with the following accelerated amendments: that an immediate focus be placed on public education, that an immediate enhanced online presence be implemented regarding recycling, that a $10 per ton increase to the tipping fees be implemented in January 2020, and the increase in revenue be used to offset additional operating costs to enhance diversion, and that the bylaw for allowable recyclables in waste be amended to reduce the amount from 20% to 10% starting in early 2020. So if somebody wants to move that, and second, I'll explain that the best I can. Councillor Helmsley, or Councillor Yeo and Helmsley, thank you. So the focus on public education, they've already started ahead with some new ideas to promote public education. The calendar, they've got a lot on the go regarding just some more information, making it more readily available. So I'm just looking to get that accelerated as much as possible. Enhancing the online pages of our website. They've already started this to help the public find recycling information faster. This includes a dedicated web address to point residents directly to the information they're looking for. Regarding raising the tipping fees, we are currently in year 3 of a 5-year plan to incrementally adjust our tipping fees to the level of our surrounding municipalities. So instead of raising the tipping fees each $5 per ton in the next 2 years, I'm suggesting we raise them by $10 a ton next year to reach the optimum 5th year level a year early. So the tipping fee rises would be completed in 4 years instead of 5, and then we would be at comparable levels with other municipalities in January of 2020. And the increase in tipping fees will be used to offset some of the diversion that we need to do. Decreasing the amount of recyclables and waste. The recommendation in the strategy called for reducing it from 20 to 10%. In your clear bag, you're allowed 20% currently. The plan by the end of 2020 would be to reduce it to 10%. In order for this to happen, waste management bylaw would need to be amended. We can fast track the bylaw and the process can be started right away so that the bylaw is in place by 2020. And then what they'll probably do is do some kind of a grace period as we educate people that their recycling needs to come down. Obviously, it's going to save us in landfill space and as we move forward. So it's not changing any of the strategies that were brought forward at Committee of the Whole. It's just taking some that staff have agreed and come up with that can be implemented with the people that we have and putting some of them in place a little bit quicker. So any questions, comments? Go ahead.
No, and I feel very strongly in putting this motion forward for you. I totally agree with everything you said, and there will be probably some whining and carrying on about the increase in tipping fees, but in the end, it all boils back to the place it's coming from, whether it's a contractor dumping an old cottage, which is going to happen more and more with all the redevelopment on the lakefronts. So accelerating that by 1 year, couldn't agree more. Use that fund to offset some of the education, which is another huge part of it. So I thank you for the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Okay, so that's our Committee of the Whole. We have 2 items that were extracted. 941 is the report housing. Did you want to do the follow-up? Sorry, follow-up motion. Yep, okay. Boy, you guys are on the ball. Go ahead, sorry.
Thought I'd throw this out, okay. That staff initiate communication with the Durham York Energy Center. Just initiate, just speak about it, just talk together, not a memorandum of understanding, just initiate communication. Just to get some information like what they need and what the timelines would be. You're not.
So let's just get the motion on the floor first. So it's just to initiate communications regarding future waste diversion?
Exactly.
Okay, let's get a seconder, see if Councillor Yeo, go ahead if you want to speak to it.
No, that's fine. I mean, Councillor Elmsley could vouch that this facility is state-of-the-art, and I think we should be looking at this method. We've got, Fenelon Falls and Somerville that's going to be closing in the next 10 years, I think 10 to 15 years, is it? No, Laxton, sorry. Laxton and, yeah. So we're looking at not too far in the future, so we've got to look ahead and at least get some more information that maybe this might be an alternative for us to this facility. It's so
Okay.
close.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Yeo, do you want to speak to it?
Briefly, to quote my 23-year-old son, who's currently graduated university in waste management and currently is with Sanford Fleming, what you're asking is by far not the perfect solution. It is just one solution, and hopefully brilliant minds like his will find a better solution, but I totally agree we have to do something, and talking never hurts. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Call the question. All in favor? That's passed. You know, I was almost going to comment, and I thought I'd hold back and try and be a big boy for a change, and I didn't. But thank you for that, Councillor Dunn, because I was thinking the same thing. Okay, we're on to item 941, Housing and Homelessness Plan. I've extracted this. I do have a motion. I know there's other motions. I want to see if somebody wants to move and second this one first. That report 2020-2029 Housing and Homelessness Plan be received. That the 2020-2029 Housing and Homelessness Plan be amended to endorse the Moving Forward Housing Target Model, which was endorsed at Committee of the Whole. That the 2020-2029 Housing and Homelessness Plan included as Appendix A to report as amended be endorsed. And that the addition is that the policy entitled Affordable Housing Incentives appended to report HH 219008 be adopted, numbered, and inserted in the corporate policy manual, and that staff report back on an annual basis on the city's progress toward achieving established targets so that those targets can be adjusted accordingly. So it's basically the motion that was adopted at Committee of the Whole with that extra which is that policy that was forwarded to you that was part of the original presentation got left out at Committee of the Whole. So we're trying to get it included if you're okay adopting those affordable housing incentives. So if somebody wants to move that, Councillor Seymour Fagan, Councillor O'Reilly, you'll second that. We've been through it at Committee of the Whole. Do you want to speak to it, Councillor Seymour Fagan? You moved it?
No, we've been through it at Committee of the Whole, and we had a lengthy discussion, and I think we chose the best option.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Elmsley, go ahead. Oh, Councillor O'Reilly, you want to speak to it?
Oh, just briefly, Councillor Fagan and I had a good discussion with Director Rod yesterday, and around similar to the same discussion that we had in the Committee of the Whole. So I just think that just because we didn't take the ultimate isn't going to lessen our chances or affect the actual. We all in this room, we want housing the best we can have and the most we can have, but I don't think that in the end it's really going to affect it as much as some people think.
Agree. Thank you. Councillor Elmsley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll speak against the motion because I think we need to go. I think we need to go with the most aggressive strategy, and not to repeat myself as I did at Committee of the Whole, but I think there are other compelling reasons to do it as well. One of which is if we do not take the most aggressive stand, there is a good chance that when housing money becomes available from the senior levels of government, if we do not have the most aggressive policy, we may be left on the sidelines. I think the people who are going to benefit are the ones who have the most aggressive program going forward, because they will need it. We also know that it is not all incumbent on the city to provide this, that we will be looking for partners and we will be looking for others to work with us in order to achieve these targets. And again, it's a target. It isn't committing that we are going to have to go out and borrow all this money right now. It's a target. And as you have done in your motion, I think by reporting back yearly as to where we are, those targets may be adjusted accordingly. But if we don't have the most aggressive target, then we're never going to know what we could have achieved. And perhaps if I could ask Manager Hopley to address those issues and any others she may think are germane to this discussion, if you would allow that.
What issue are you asking Hope to address?
About getting money from senior levels of government, about the implications of not taking the most aggressive stand that we can on affordable housing.
Hope, do you want to get in the middle of this debate? Your report kind of laid it out pretty clearly. We got our financial implications. I don't agree with the comment that we're not going to be sitting on the sideline and that, you know, I don't believe there's any grants that we won't qualify for. To me, this is still a very aggressive target. This increases our housing, you know, moving forward considerably. And I think some of the what's being tried to being spun is that we're not, you know, moving forward as fast as we should be, when I think this is a very aggressive model moving forward, and I'm not of the opinion that we're going to be sitting on any sideline if money becomes available. But do you want to clarify that if you can?
I may be repeating myself too, through the merits of the councillor. So the target, the ideal target, is based on actual data and needs of the community and addressing those needs within the timeline of the plan. So by adopting something else, we're definitely outside of that. There's the potential, if we underestimate, that partners too may underestimate, including our government partners. I can't say that for sure, but the housing crisis is top of mind at other levels of government right now. So there are opportunities that are there now and coming forward. There's a national housing strategy with $40 billion nationally. There's a housing supply action plan to encourage private developers to get back in the affordable housing game. There's the community housing renewal strategy that's looking at existing housing providers and a new business model for them to look at maintaining stock they have, but also increase stock and look at it more business-like. I guess one of the comments I could make is if we could maybe shift our focus away from looking at not meeting that target or trying to cost out something that we can't cost out, and look at the cost of not aggressively looking at a target. By that I mean this target is addressing the needs of low and middle income households that reside in our communities. The low income, by not providing housing, adequate housing for them, the cost of homelessness is much more than the cost of providing housing. In the middle income bracket, we're a serviced based community, so individuals, we're hoping to grow services here. With that comes the need for housing for those individuals who are going to work in those services. So like I say, I'm probably repeating a lot of what I talked about before, but I would continue, as we've recommended along the way, to adopt the target that actually meets the timeline of the plan and the needs of the community.
Thank you. Good. Councillor Ashmore, you had a question?
Just a comment. Like, I support the motion. I think it's aggressive enough. I think it's a good motion. What it was mentioned about senior levels of government contributing more, and I'm really disappointed that the federal government, when I see them investing $2 billion in Asia through the CPP, which is Canadian money, the government of Canada controls that fund. They're thinking globally, not locally, and it's disappointing when they invest offshore and not here. But it would be nice if we can get more federal money here. Just thought I'd mention that.
You should send a memo to our MP. Thank you. Councillor Dunn, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick comments. These decisions are made by bureaucrats, and they'll have their own criteria. And what I believe is they'll look at the extremely aggressive target and say, Well, maybe once these guys get their head out of the clouds, we'll have a talk with them, because the aggressive plan is unrealistic. And it's nice to have it, you know, I mean, I'm a roof over every head, chicken in every pot type guy. But if it's not realistic, then it's a hard job to sell it. And we'll have to sell this to the bureaucrats that actually make the decision, and I support this motion.
Thank you. Councillor Seymour Fagan.
Yes, thank you, through you. Just a question to Hope. Thank you, Hope, for the information. With the motion that we have on the floor, we're still going to be doing all the things we'd be doing if we were looking for the higher targets as well, aren't we? We're still going to be doing these things.
Through the mayor to the councillor, yes, hopefully.
Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. It's not like we're going to stop doing things. We're still going to be moving forward. We're still going to be working on the housing. It's not like we're stopping anything.
Okay. Everybody's clear on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. We'll move into item 942 is the styrofoam and single-use plastics. I extracted that one as well. I'd like to, again, add a couple of, well, I'll read it and you can tell me what you think. That the report, styrofoam and single-use plastics be received, that council approves a voluntary ban of styrofoam and single-use plastics in the Kawartha Lakes, that council approves the removal of styrofoam from the curbside recycling stream in addition to the waste stream, regrettably, that council lead by example and start the voluntary ban within the city's administrative buildings whenever possible, and that as part of the voluntary ban, staff develop a long-term plan for phasing out single-use plastics and styrofoam within additional city buildings and facilities, and that staff develop a green procurement policy as part of the 2020 development of a green city charter. So it's really the recommendation we took from committee at the whole, and again, adding a couple of things that we can lead by example as a municipality. Councillor Seymour Fagan, you mentioned you would move that? Yes. Okay, and second, Councillor Richardson, do you want to speak to it?
Yes, I do. I'm also wondering if we can revisit it in a year, but I'm sure we can do that at another time. We don't have to do that with this motion. Okay, so as someone who is in the restaurant business, there are things, and I just want to show people, because people don't realize what you can do. I brought it from work. I've got a little show and tell. So this is PLA. So it's biodegradable, compostable in certain things, but it's biodegradable. It'll break down lot less time than plastics. The paper cups are lined in the same, and they will break down. Other cups are lined in plastic, i.e. Tim Hortons and stuff. You can use paper boxes. They don't need to be using styrofoam. It's just cheaper. That's why people are doing it. And the most interesting things are, so there's the paper straws, which everybody's seen, but there's also avocado-based straws and avocado-based cutlery. It's going to cost people more, but it also breaks down. So it's not plastic, it's not being thrown out in the garbage. I spoke with both Cisco and GFS, who are the restaurant supply companies, and Cash and Carry, and if they could not, if they knew that there was a ban, they would not be bringing it in. So it is possible that we can do this next year if the government doesn't move forward, the provincial and the federal.
Yeah, and hopefully they'll get on board with the voluntary ban and start making some of these decisions on their own. It's like with the styrofoam, right? I mean, if people stop buying product that's packaged in styrofoam, then suppliers will get the message pretty quick that they need to change their packaging. So while we keep buying it, people will keep supplying it. So I think it's a good start, and as the province and the federal government get on board, then, you know, we can certainly, makes it easier for us to implement and enforce some of these things. So I think it's a good middle of the road approach. Councillor Helmsley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not opposed to the motion at all. But I do find it interesting moving back to paper. We moved away from paper because I'm somebody who has worked in the pulp and paper industry and also with the pulp and paper industry, and they were cast as the villains in being the major pollutants of many things, and the chemicals and the other things that go into making paper. So now we're coming full circle because we went to styrofoam to stop using paper, and now we're going back to paper. So I just make the point, and I agree that it would be nice to get rid of these things. I'm just wondering when we're going to get other things that may replace paper, so just a point I'm bringing.
Thank you. Councillor Yeo?
Thank you, and 100% behind the motion, but you brought up a green procurement system, and I was wondering, is that going to come back to council? 'Cause I'm wondering how big the green procurement system would be, and whether we're moving to electric vehicles all of a sudden, or?
No. I think, yeah, go ahead. I think staff would develop it and we would, as part of that charter, but I think the idea is to just start implementing some of the green policies into some of our requests when people tender and, for consideration sort of wherever possible. That was, I know, the intent of the motion. I spoke with the director and she said as part of that, it'll all come back to council for approval, but go ahead.
Well said. Now, but through the mayor, so one of your strategic plan items is to develop a city charter and really, a green city charter, which is really taking a leadership role in a number of green sort of practices and programs. And so we're going to develop that over 2020, bring it back to you for approval. Aligned with that are some of the things that you're talking about. So for the procurement policy, you're going to be reviewing all of your council policies over the next couple of years. The procurement policy is one that we've scheduled anyways for 2020 in its entirety. So part of it will be looking at other policy directions within that document on green practices as well.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Ashmore, go ahead.
For you to, Mr. Kerr over there. On this first that or second that, it says single-use plastic. So does this include the clear plastic bag that we're using? We're allowed to use 2 a week. So clear plastic bags, we're not doing away with them, right? But it says it here in the motion. Single-use plastics, which equates to a plastic bag. Am I?
Plastic bag for our garbage.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Kerr, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, no, it wouldn't include the plastic bags, clear plastic bags for garbage. We would be looking at other types of plastic bags. We would be developing and modeling the various types of single-use plastics based on what the provincial ideas and what other municipalities are doing right now. The majority of single-use plastics right now would be things like plates, straws, forks, the styrofoam, that type of thing. There are a number of other items as well, but at this point we wouldn't be looking at the clear plastic bags.
Still put our garbage in clear plastic bags, yes.
We hope to find a solution down the road, and we certainly will look at alternatives and options in that regard. But right now, that's the best way to handle that.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Dunn, go ahead.
Just while we have Mr. Kerr up there, is there a solution or an alternative, I guess, for bubble wrap? Or not bubble wrap, but you buy a bag of batteries or a box of batteries, and it comes in this hard plastic covering. Is there solutions for that as well out there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor,
Yeah.
there are different things that can be used. There's a lot of different fiber types of products that can be used, and there's different types of cartons. There are different types of things that could be used. Part of the single-use strategy and phase out is to look at various types of alternatives and options, and that's something that we got some feedback from the business community on, that they would certainly be interested in different types of replacement things as well, and so that would be something we'd be looking at.
Thank you. Any other questions? Everybody clear on the motion? Call the question. All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Kerr. We'll move into item 10, which is the Planning Advisory Committee. It's pretty straightforward. Are there any extractions from planning? Seeing none, Councillor Vail, will you move that the minutes of the November 6th Planning Advisory Committee meeting be received and the recommendations included section 10.3 of the agenda be adopted? Thank you. Councillor Riley, you'll second that. Questions? All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. Consent. The consent agenda, I have no extractions right now. Is there any extractions out of the 5 consent items? Councillor Yeo?
None extraction, just a question on the Committee of the Whole and Planning Advisory calendar. On the Appendix A, on the very last page, the deadline for publishing seems to be out of whack with the rest of the year. The agenda is published, it says on November 2nd, which is a full month before the meeting for planning. So I was wondering if that was a misprint.
Sorry, in the November 2020.
The Planning Advisory Committee meeting dates. The meeting date is listed as December 2nd, and the agenda says it's published on November 2nd, which is 30 days ahead of the meeting. So I think it must be a misprint.
Yeah. Okay. We'll make that correction.
That's it, thank you.
Okay. Any other? Boy, we just wanted to see if you were reading your calendar, so way to go. Okay, Councillor Vail, you have the consent agenda. Go ahead.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that all of the proposed resolutions shown in section 11.1 and 11.2 of the agenda be approved and adopted by council in the order that they appear on the agenda and sequentially numbered.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. Item 12 is petitions. We have one petition regarding the resurfacing of Wispy Shore Road from a Marianne Hussar. Can I suggest, Councillor Ashmore, that we receive the petition and refer it to the 2020 Life Cycle Extension Program for consideration? You'll move that?
I'll move that, thanks.
Thank you. A seconder, Councillor O'Reilly. Any questions, comments? All in favor? That's passed. Thank you. We have no other or new business. Bylaws. Are there any extractions from the bylaws? Nope. Councillor Yeo?
Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Dunn that the bylaws shown in section 14.1 of the agenda, namely items 14.1.12 and including 14.1.14, be read a first, second, third time passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
Thank you. All in favor? That's passed. We have no notice of motion. We do need to go into closed session for several items, so let's take a 5-minute break, and when we come back, we'll go into closed session. Thank you.